welcome back to the class, everyone, and Happy New Year. And not only are we officially in 2024 now, but this also marks the 3-year point of which we've had Relic 8 in game. And while I myself have not really been able to work on it that much, only having about 20 Relic 8s over the process of these 3 years, things are about to change. So as previously mentioned, while Relic 8 has been in game for years now, I really have not interacted with it much. Number one, just because overall it's pretty expensive, and number two, because the exact same resources that you use, i.e. signal data, to get to Relic 8, you also need for a lot of the smaller Relic levels out there, like Relic level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I've always wanted to go wider with my roster than higher. Well, I've finally reached a point where I have most useful things out there, Relic 3, which means every single thing I can have can use a Datacron. Well, so it's time for me to start looking at Relic 8s. In addition to that, one of the other things that brought this on, and we'll mention this real quickly, is the fact that Relic 8 does not require the first 2 pieces of Relic salvage, bronzium wiring, and I think it's carbonite transistor or something like that. And that actually has become relevant for me. I've been able to farm them to somewhat good effect over time, but it would be nice to have a break by specifically honing in on these Relic 7 characters. Like if we look at my mace here, you can kind of see where I am with those 2 Relic pieces. So without further ado, let's get to the 10 characters that I plan on taking to Relic 8 over the next couple months or so. So first up is going to be Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. And this one is really sad because it's a galactic legend. He probably should have been Relic 8 for a long time. And you could really apply the same logic here to almost any of the other Galactic Legends. Just because the Galactic Legend unique, he is going to get 10% more max health and max protection just by having 1 more Relic level. Then, of course, everything in here he can use. He loves extra health, he loves extra crit damage, he loves extra defense, he loves extra damage. He doesn't really care much for the crit chance. But other than that, all those boosts are very relevant to him, whether it's just surviving or needing to deal out more damage. Having more mastery is also nice because he is going to stack that pretty consistently with the rest of how his kit works, and really this will help him just not die in the beginning of some of those sketchier matches out there. And right now he's still a counter to almost every major Galactic Legend we see on defense, being Jabba, Leia, and I guess he can still beat Rey. It's a lot messier, but overall just a great character that could use another boost. Next up is going to be Darth Malgus. There's actually a lot of reasons to take up Darth Malgus to R8. Number one, he's a good tank, and when you add in his Relic level, he's going to get added health, protection, as well as defense, and he really does want all 3 of those. He not only gets to use health as survivability, but he also gets to use it as damage in his Dark Deception move. And then one of the other things that's going to be pretty consistent with the rest of the characters too, or not all of them, but a lot of them, is we want to specifically take up to higher relics characters that have a mastery boost built into their leadership, because when you take their relic level higher, the mastery boost that they're getting is also going to increase. And Darth Malgus is a perfect example of that. He also has a ship in the most important fleet in game right now, so that really can't hurt, although that relic level isn't specifically doing a whole lot. But overall, a great contender for R8 and one that I will be working on here very soon, hopefully. Next up is going to be Maul, and really whether you use Maul in his own team or under Lord Vader, I do want to have that Relic 8 on him for the extra advantage. He is going to be able to generate offense both from his own offense that you're going to get when you take him to a higher Relic level, as well as taking his health higher because of how his Anguish mechanic works, where he turns his health into damage, and then on top of that, he's also getting to use his own offense. So when you take his Relic level up, you're gaining more health, you're gaining more damage, both of which are going to contribute to what he's going to be dishing out. On top of that, he's also typically placed under Lord Vader, where he will get boosted mastery, which you can again have at higher amounts by taking the Relic 9, which, by the way, or not Relic 9, Relic 8. Relic 8 has the largest jump in mastery of any Relic level. It's even higher than Relic 9 for some reason. I'm guessing balancing purposes. So him getting to go to that next level up is even better. I also even like the survivability on him. Him dying at the very beginning of the battle or towards the beginning can extremely hinder Lord Vader, and it'll just also wreck the entire Maul team if that's what you're doing. So him Next up is going to be our good friend Starkiller, and again, another damage dealing character that is going to benefit from having a lot of his crit damage and even crit chance increased. The armor is not bad either. Most of the counters that he's involved in either offensively or defensively don't really care about armor, but him being able to assist every single time that Mara Jade or Emperor Palpatine is using their basic and calling him in because of how his unique Omicron works is just overall a lot of value. And then I guess having his health boosted for when he drops the ship on the entire enemy team doesn't hurt either. But overall, one of the reasons why he's at Relic 8 is because his ceiling is so high for what he can take out. Next up is going to be Fennec Shand, a counter to Lord Vader that has fallen quite a bit as far as viability goes in 5v5, but is still pretty relevant in 3v3. And I want to add the extra Relic level on her again for more offensive capabilities, but also so that she has increased armor and health. One of my biggest issues with the Fennec counter is it's pretty easy to get through Bosk, and once Bam has already used his damage immunity on Fennec, she becomes incredibly vulnerable, and as soon as she's dead, the match is pretty much over. I'm not actually too concerned with her damage. She has a lot of ways to get that going. I more so want this for her overall survivability, to be able to take Lord Vader in those niche cases, especially in 3v3, when people keep on placing Lord Vader, Maul, and Royal Guard. She just has a really nice home there. Next up is going to be our Death Droid under Afra. He is probably the most important relic for that entire team, just because of how much damage he can do on all of his abilities. One of the things, and this will come up with Dark too, that I really like about him, he has a ton of offense, again, generated from his own kit, the leadership that he's with, his unique, etc. But the big thing that I'm after here, and this is going to be true for Dark as well, is the armor penetration. Especially when we keep getting these Datacrons out there that have ridiculous amounts of defense. This is really the only thing that is going to help us get past them. You can have as high as offense as you want, but if there's a ton of defense and you have no armor penetration, you're not really going to be able to make a dent in it. Leaving, again, BT1 as a great attacker, a awesome choice to take all the way up to Relic 8. I actually just recently took him to Relic 7 and have been enjoying that a lot. Again, Dark Trooper, exact same reasoning, and it really does hone in more on the armor pen here, because when you put Dark Trooper together with Piet's going to give him almost unlimited offense through Emperor's Trap. You can stack like 40 to 50 stacks on him, and that's good and all. But those stacks, while they do give offense and potency, they don't give any type of armor penetration. And Dark, despite not being able to crit really on his basic unless he has advantage, he doesn't ignore defense or armor or anything like that. So the added armor pen really does help when you're needing him to take out higher targets, especially a crew under a Lord Vader team is probably one of the most relevant that I tried with him at Relic 5 that just got me absolutely nowhere. Next up is going to be Jedi Knight Luke, and this one's a little bit awkward just because I think this is our only light side character on the entire list. Now, granted, I already have General Skywalker and CLS at Relic 8, so they would be great choices for another light side Relic 8. But yeah, it's mostly going to fall to dark side when it comes to this list, just for whatever reason they happen to be, while dark side characters are the minority in the game, they happen to be some of the stronger units out there. And yeah, the reasoning behind this is the same as Starkiller's. He's just an OP character that has high targets when it comes to his counter ceiling. He can take out bigger stuff, so him having extra stats and damage and armor penetration and critical chance, it's just better for him to have it than to not to have it. The armor is nice on top of that. He's just a strong character that wants to hit a little bit harder than he already does, especially with Cal Kestis coming to the game and really giving life to Jedi Knight Luke off the Jedi Master Luke team, where most of his damage would have been dependent on Jedi Master Luke's protection anyways. Next up is going to be Reva. We're going to see a kind of a similar trend here with her to Maul. She just wants all the stats that you're going to give her. While she does have the tank tag, she does a decent amount of damage. So by taking her to Relic 8, not only do you get to benefit from all the health and protection and armor that comes on here, but your damage is going to go up as well, giving her, again, an extra boost. And the harder she is to kill, the harder she is to take down, the higher the Inquisitors can really punch up against those stronger teams. She does have a revive, so every single time she's coming back, it's going to be harder and harder to be able to take her down. And just getting all these boosts along with it is going to really be nice for what her character can ultimately do. What do we have next here? We have... oh yeah, last and not least is going to be Malakos. And this might be just a little bit of a hot take because his Datacron is still in full effect, so maybe we're overestimating him a little bit. But again, this is going back to the concept we talked about earlier in the video of mastery. He is going to be gaining 50% mastery, which is based off of what he starts on at the very beginning of the battle. So instead of being 45 mastery, I would much rather it be 60 mastery. Then getting all of, again, armor penetration, damage, critical chance, adding that all onto his kit with everything he's already doing and everything that he's already stacking through both his uniques and Seer's leadership, he is going to hit that much harder. And in addition to that, you do also want him to survive, because if you have Echo of the Fallen Order Omicron, he has a savior-like ability that he's going to be able to give to one of the other unaligned Force users. And if he's kind of weak and really one of the weaker characters on the team, and they can manage to kill him first, that savior mechanic really just goes entirely down the drain and you don't get to use it at all. So those are our top 10 pick for Relic 8s. Again, remembering that CLS and Gas had already been taken up to Relic 8. Gas for Lord Vader and CLS for funsies. Let me know what you guys think and what characters you think are also really good at Relic 8. But until the next time, stay awesome.